Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author, Nancy Saxton-Lopez. And this is a program that we do live on YouTube every Thursday from 6 p.m. to about 6:30. And it is kind of an expansion of the book that we wrote several years back now called The Pet Loss Companion, Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups. And we want you to know that very soon it will be out as an audiobook, and it will be available on Apple Books and on Spotify and other platforms. So we'll keep you posted on that. What we do many times, most of the times in these episodes, is we read letters from people who write to us about their animal companion's life, their passing, how they're doing now. And we know that listening to these stories helps many people to feel less alone, to feel some degree of solace and peace. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be reading a couple stories. If you'd like to send us your accounts, we're happy to hear from you. You can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com. You can reach Nancy at nancysaxtonlopez@gmail.com. And if you send us your story, please let us know if it's okay to share, or to share parts of it, but you'd rather we didn't share all of it. And we will, of course, honor your request, and we'll also, one or both of us will write back to you. And you can support our program in a number of ways, one of which is to subscribe to the Substack, where we post our correspondence and also the pictures that people send us. And there are other ways as well. You can learn all about these in the description that is accompanying the program. And we'd like you to know that the program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is a great shelter and adoption program and also a resource center. They provide many different services for the community of people who love their animal companions. And one of the programs that they sponsor is a pet loss support group over Zoom that I facilitate. It happens once a month on the second Tuesday of the month from 6 p.m. Eastern to 7:30 p.m. And there's an RSVP link in the description, and please consider joining us. There are people who join us from all over the world. It's a really interesting mix of experiences, wisdom, sharing of strengths, and so we'd be happy to have you. If you do RSVP and then you can't make it, it would be helpful if you let me know, because we cap the program at 50 actually, and we usually get about 25-ish people, sometimes quite a little bit more than that. And we'd like to open the registration again. If we hit 50 and you can't make it, please do let us know, because we know that sometimes a lot of times people are grieving. It's hard to concentrate. Sometimes they're not able to make it to a program that they've RSVP'd to, but do try to let us know if you can't make it. And please consider subscribing on YouTube if you haven't already, because that helps others get the program in when they are looking for support. It alerts the algorithm to heighten the program's visibility. And so if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please do. And also, if you can leave a thumbs up or a heart or make a comment, these also affect the algorithm. So if you're with us, please do leave a comment or a thumbs up. That's just really helpful to other people who may benefit. And finally, we'd like you to know that the program we have an affiliate relationship, I should say, with a business called Bereave that produces these really wonderfully crafted granite memorial plaques. And if you buy one of them through the link in our description, we will get a little bit of a gift back as part of your purchase price. And I'll also let you know that at the bottom of our description, we have listed a number of
resources,
colleagues who are resources. So take a look if you need support, if you're looking for behavioral health assistance for your animal companion, if you're looking for a doula. So there's a number of people who we have great faith in who are connected, support groups. So check that out. And Nancy, you want to get us started for today?
So we have two stories tonight, and I'm very pleased to share the story of Kathy and Izze. because I worked with Kathy for a while. And sweet little girl. And Kevin and Felix. So I'm going to start with Kathy's. Dear Nancy and Ken, thank you so much for your book and podcasts. Without them, I do not know how I would ever have managed after the passing of my beloved Izzy, my Siamese twin, and my heart on February 9th after 17 and a half amazing years. Writing this letter has been therapeutic for me, so please do share it with others if you feel it may help them. We picked Izzy, our boo-boo, our Dobby, as she was called, the little peekaboo puppy, because she was the quietest of the puppies, or so we thought. Little did we know that we brought home a formidable little guard dog who loyally protected her family from every dog or person, no matter how big or small, who came anywhere near them. Our little chief of security became known on our uncommonly friendly block as an anomaly because she was the only ferocious and unfriendly one, even though absolutely no one feared this adorable 13-pound red-haired dog with an underbite and a tiny white diamond fur patch on her chest. Izzy's looks belied her, I believe, her overwhelming desire to protect her family as she growled and took an aggressive stance at strangers who would laugh because she looked like a puppy. In our small-town neighborhood, people and dogs abound, and there's no such thing as a short walk without running into our neighbors with their many equally friendly dogs who insist on our dogs meeting. We learned to say she's not friendly quickly enough to stop neighbors in their tracks, as they were already coming so our dogs could meet, and Izzy wasn't letting them anywhere near her family. My husband, who never had a dog, marveled at how affectionate and loving and loyal Izzy was to her family. Izzy reveled in playing choo-choo with him and my daughter and would run under their bent knees and behind their back like a train through a tunnel. Our Izzy was an active dog who loved her walks and sniffing every blade of grass slowly, one at a time. She adored the sandy beaches and the gentle ocean waves of Cape May Beach in the summer and loved to put her nose in big dog prints in the winter snow. On those rare occasions where she wasn't on the job, she was the most curious of dogs who loved hiking the Pocono Mountains, her collection of rubber duckies, and her endless closet of dog treats. But most of all, my Izzy just loved being with the three of us and always followed us everywhere. She needed to be close to one of us at all times. She was my third leg, as my daughter said, and I was often tripping over her as stuck to me like a Siamese twin, and if we were apart, I'd always rush home so I could be with her. She was part of me, and I was part of her. We were one. My sweet Izzy had the biggest, floppiest Pekingese ears that overwhelmed her small head and flapped as they dangled in the wind outside the car window or bike doggy backpack, or later, the doggy stroller that we used to help her get around as her mobility decreased. She protested about her car seats when she wasn't immediately next to me, so I found one that fit perfectly on top of the console between the driver and the passenger front seats, in one of our cars only, and both of us were in heaven as I could touch her head while I was driving, so we could be Siamese next to each other at all times. At night, she slept at different spots on her bed, and I'd endlessly contort my sleeping positions around her on the thankfully king-size bed so that we'd always be touching one another, always nose to nose or back to back. At night, her distinct, faint scent of wet clothes, especially after a bath, often lulled me to sleep. During the last 2.5 years, her health issues at age 15 started to build. First, it was the partially collapsed trachea and arthritis in her legs. Izzy made the rounds with the vets and specialty vet hospitals. She was also diagnosed as having early kidney failure. To prolong her precious life, I started making renal-friendly fresh food for her, but she still resisted and wanted the table scraps. So I, despite decent culinary taste buds, cooked bland foods or ordered bland, low-phosphorus steamed Chinese chicken and veggies without a moment's thought, so she and I could eat the same thing. We managed to slow the advance of her kidney disease, but then she started to get bouts of pancreatitis and stopped eating or drinking for days at a time, usually resulting in an ICU stay. In January, the pancreatitis came back with a vengeance, and she was in the ICU for days at a time until she was stabilized and returned home. At home, she did well for 3 or 4 days, and then slowly stopped eating again until we grew concerned. This became a vicious cycle every 10 days until it was clear, the vet said, that she was unable to fight off the combo of renal failure and pancreatitis. Our goal became to keep her comfortable and happy as long as possible. We couldn't imagine our life without our precious Izze. My husband and I learned how to administer IVs and her many meds despite our squeamishness. When she was uncomfortable at night, I woke up to keep her company, and together we walked around the living room in circles until she finally was able to rest a bit. I could not rest until she was resting. During this period, she was sleeping longer than ever in our bed, and I often had to nudge her several times after her usual time to wake up. Should I have realized that her body was giving us signals already? Outwardly, it seemed to work as the kidney functions were high, but not at the critical levels that prompted her stays in the ICU earlier. At home, to entice my Izze to eat as she got sicker, I became an iron chef for dogs and got ultra-lean meats and fish, made fresh baby food and Chinese congee, and gave her a choice of 5 to 6 meals to eat each day, including her red bell peppers, which she loved. Not green, yellow, or orange, but only red. Eventually, she gave in to this smorgasbord of foods and treats and ate enough to survive another day, as we'd say. She discovered duck jerky treats this past year and never refused this treat at least. Every day when she ate a little bit and took her meds, I could finally breathe as I thought we could keep her going in this fashion. The week of 2/1, February 1st, was the best as I took off to spend time and take extra good care of her. She loved the chef-inspired meals, daily walks in her stroller, and the odd patchwork of wall-to-wall area rugs that I hastily put in place to cover the hardwood floors that made it hard for her in her weakening state to get around. My husband and I agreed, however, that we would not have her suffer another round in the ICU, as she was miserable and wouldn't eat and wasn't getting better. On the final weekend, she started trembling and throwing up repeatedly on Saturday. We hydrated her with IVs from the vet, but still I rushed her back to the ER again that evening, worried that she was getting worse and suffering. They gave her some pain meds, more fluids, and offered to keep her in the ICU again, but knowing her days were dwindling, we took her home to care for her. That evening, she refused duck jerky and any other food. The following day, her breathing was labored and she was trembling, but it wasn't cold. My daughter and I took turns cradling our baby girl, swathed in a blanket. I had arranged for a vet to come. It had to be here in her home, which she loved with her family, the following day to gently put her to sleep and out of pain. At 6 p.m., I put her down next to my daughter while I went to the bathroom. My Izze was so weak, but she dragged her little body a few inches towards me, my ever-loyal Siamese sidekick. I scooped her up, and I held her closely and rocked her gently, not wanting to let her go for a second. At 8 p.m., she was finally sleeping comfortably, and I was getting up to take a shower when Izze had a stroke, the first ever. It was horrifying to see her whole body in uncontrollable spasms. In 2 endless minutes, the spasms stopped, and she looked at us helplessly through her big dark brown saucer eyes. My husband, daughter, and I agonized over whether to wait until tomorrow so she could spend her final day at home. After looking at her distant eyes, we quickly decided that she was not going to suffer anymore, and we rushed her at night to the hospital, where she let the nurses pick her up while her family was nearby. She was too weak to defend us anymore. We spent our final moments with her, cradling and kissing her, telling her how much we loved her, and letting her know it was okay to go. When the nurse asked if we were ready for her to start the process of putting her down, I said yes, thinking we had several minutes before the sedative worked, as I had read. Then the vet came in, and in 2 minutes she was gone, as they used a fast-acting sedative, leaving us in shock at being deprived of those final extra minutes with our baby. Our world is painfully still and eerily quiet. Everything in the house reminds us of her. I keep busy with work and listen to pet loss podcasts during the day to numb the pain, but I awake every night missing my Siamese twin and can't sleep. Sometimes I sniff the comforter for the few spots that still smell like her and pretend she's still in bed with us. Other times, especially during the still and darkness of night, when fatigue and grief collide, the void and emptiness are endless and unbearable. I keep agonizing over the last several weeks. When I took her to every vet imaginable, was I too selfish in putting her through so many appointments and ICU stays, only to have her suffer a painful stroke as the vets had warned could happen with kidney failure? Should we have let her go peacefully earlier so that she didn't have to undergo the torture of what happened over these weeks? In my deep and overwhelming grief, I listen to your podcasts, and they help to know that others love their babies as much as we do and understand the profound and unyielding pain. I also reach out to me, who by sheer luck is a pet loss therapist in the area. Nancy's patience, kindness, and love of pets permeates her calls, and she told me that those who unfortunately must euthanize their pets always feel guilty if they did it too soon or waited too long. Prior to Izze, I didn't even know pet loss therapy existed, but it really has given me great comfort at a time of immeasurable grief and pain. Thank you for reading this long email. It's been helpful to me to write when my thoughts are racing and I feel paralyzed by grief.
Wow, what a story, and
Yeah.
what a beautiful little dog
Yeah, she's
Izze
so
was.
sweet.
And
What a girl.
one of
what a
the
girl.
things that stands out for me in this story is how Kathy cooked
All that
for-
food.
for
right?
both of them.
Yeah. Right.
It's a real commitment. And she said
That's right.
she would cook like 5 different meals
Yeah.
for,
So she would
Izze.
be able to have her smorgasbord.
so
I love
mean,
that.
that is phenomenal. That is really quite, I mean, it's just so generous to spend so much time and energy and thoughtfulness. And then she even gave up food that she likes so she could
She could eat.
so she
with-
could eat a bland
with Izze.
diet with Izzy.
I mean,
Well, that's what
well,
people do, and
that's
we
right.
love our animal companions. We'll do whatever we can to keep them as healthy as we possibly can. And then, of course, after all of this, and they're paying such close attention to her, and they're getting the timing, and then she goes into crisis, and it's just like a day before they have decided that
Right.
they would be easing her out of her suffering, and she had
And she
the
had a
stroke.
stroke.
And so they took her to the vet and ended her suffering through euthanasia there. And then they feel guilty.
about maybe that,
Maybe
well,
we
they-
waited too long.
too long, right? And also, I guess there was that part where it went faster than they had anticipated.
Yeah, which
right?
it often does. I mean, it depends
Yeah.
on how
Depends
compromised they already
Exactly.
are.
Exactly.
And we've had one of
Mm-hmm.
our dogs we brought to the vet, and they actually couldn't get the needle in because the vet couldn't find a vein. And after 2 tries, I said, just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just gone within a minute or 2 after that on her own because she was so close to
Well,
expiring.
That's what happened with Ellie. Because, we had gotten her to the vet and made the decision to euthanize her. But she died after the tranquilizer.
Yeah.
She
yeah,
never
it
got
happens
the
a lot.
final.
It
Yeah.
happens a lot, I think, because they're already they've almost
They're
already
dying,
transitioned.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
they're
dying,
dying.
and they're either going to die very, very soon, or any little, certainly a sedative can be the thing that puts them into the end of their life, that makes them die. And we're never ready for it, even when
No.
we're completely ready for
Never
it. That's
ready.
we know that they're going to be euthanized, but still we're hoping for a few minutes. And it's very typical
Right.
what Kathy's describing, because
Right.
we want so desperately to hang on to the last little bit of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really hard. And when she talks about how she sniffs the
I know.
I think about
Comforter.
that. I did that with I do that with
Yeah.
my dogs after they're gone. Wherever their blankets were, I kind of try to hold on to them for a while, and every now and then I'll sniff them to get a sniff of their scent.
Yeah, of
And
course.
but it is fascinating the way, once again, no matter how much we do, and certainly these Kathy and her family did everything imaginable
yeah,
and
God.
then some,
Yeah.
we still find a way to
To
feel guilty. And I hope that maybe that's lessened and perhaps even not there at all anymore because it's been a little bit of time, but I'm sure it comes and goes. In general, that's what happens.
You know, I love how she explained too, because this is my experience with Penny, or it was with Ellie too, is in sleeping in bed and having them. You have to be touching, right? You have to have that connection, and it's actually they've had a lot out there on social media saying you sleep much better if your dog is next to you.
That's funny.
I love that.
Mine sleep in their crates.
Well, you have bigger dogs
yeah,
too. You
yeah.
have big dogs. So, but
Well, they're not that big. But my husband is not keen on having them in the bed. So
yeah.
anyway.
But there is a feeling about that as they get close.
Yeah,
to you.
yeah. Well, our dogs, we have a ritual where we sit and watch TV for an hour at the end of the day.
So that they're all cuddled with you.
There's Hildy, there's me, there's Annie,
Anna.
and then there's Tim. So that's the lineup.
Oh.
But
this is a wonderful story, Kathy.
It
it
is.
is
And
really a beautiful story.
And thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing
You
with us.
loved
And
her so much.
and the pictures also are just
they're
great.
beautiful.
They're great. So this, I'm assuming this is Kathy and Izze and Kathy's daughter. I would
Yeah,
assume.
that's right.
And so it's a beautiful picture. All of these. So we appreciate the pictures
Yes,
too.
thank you so much. And my thoughts are with you. Our thoughts are with
Yep,
you. As you
absolutely.
travel, your grief journey.
Yep,
And I know how
yep.
much you loved Izzy. So.
So we'll move on to Kevin's story. And Kevin writes, "Hi Nancy and Ken. I'm writing to you about our cat Felix." Let me put up Felix.
Yeah, little Felix,
Felix.
little cutie.
Who we said goodbye to at age 16 on April 30th, 2025. I've been listening to your podcast regularly since that day, and it's been very helpful. I'm hoping our story about Felix can help others. And my wife, Deanna, pronounced Deanna,
Right.
we give you permission to share our story on your show. I thank you for all that you do. I bought your book when our other cat, Mox, died in 2014. Please know that what you're doing is a great comfort to people who have lost pets. I've also included some pictures of Felix. He was a tuxedo cat, and we'd say he was always ready for a night on the town, though he was an indoor cat. I'm sitting in a park on a beautiful day as I type this. Felix, we are still missing you so much. I think back to when you were born at the shelter in Clayville, Rhode Island. The shelter wasn't sure you were going to make it. You were very small, and you had a severe respiratory infection. Thankfully, you made it, and you joined Deanna and me and our other cat, Mox. You came into our lives. Felix, when we brought you home in 2009, you were only 2 months old. Deanna and I only had just moved in together. We adopted you to give some company to Mox when we were at work. At that time, the start of your life was also the start of so many milestones for Deanna and me that you were part of. Our first apartment, our first house, our getting married, weekend trips away to Western Massachusetts that you would also join us on, our first child being born, our second child being born, and moving into another house, the one you called home for many years. After Mox died in 2014, you became the pet of the house. We used to call you the solo gatto. We eventually adopted another cat, Angie, in 2016 to give you some company, and you two were always a great pair together despite she being 7 years younger than you. She definitely missed you after you had gone. We could see she was not herself for some time. You are such a gentle soul, Felix. We have been sharing stories about you every day. I miss hearing your meow in the morning to be fed. I miss hearing you and seeing you when we get home from work and greeting us at the door. I miss you cuddling up with us under the covers. I miss it when I'd walk into a room and you give me a nod and let out a little coo to say hello. I miss seeing you get silly with catnip treats, hanging out in the garage, and yes, even trying to go after our food on the dining room table. You were a character and such a fun pet. We really hated to say goodbye. Your mom and I did what we knew in our brain was the right thing to do to prevent you from suffering, but it's hard because right up until we made our decision, in our hearts we had some hope we would be able to keep you with us. It's 3 months later, and I still have a tremendous amount of guilt sometimes for sending you over the Rainbow Bridge. I get upset and think we were hasty. Maybe we should have tried to keep you around longer and see if you could have fought whatever it was that was making you sick. But we didn't want to see you suffer, and we didn't want you to have to be monitored, watched all the time, brought to the vet often for checkups, or have you all of a sudden go downhill in the middle of the night. The vet wasn't confident in your long-term prognosis with fluid in your chest and abdomen and issues with your red blood cell count and struggling to breathe. So we let you go in peace, and here we are still missing you today, tomorrow, and for the rest of our lives. Our love for you will always remain, and I keep you in my heart and our souls. We hope we will reunite with yours when the time comes. Felix, all through your life, you were there for us and the kids. The kids, now aged 11 and 9, truly never knew life without you. And honestly, we shared our life with you for so many years. I feel we don't know life without you either. Felix, we miss you. Sincerely, Kevin, Deanna, and family, and Angie, too.
I really love how he and Deanna, I hope I said that right, really worked at and very thoughtful about where Felix was in the context of his
suffering.
His suffering, his physical being, and they really were very selfless, and of course they will love him forever and miss him, but he really and they really made it so that they were very concerned about his suffering and that they weren't going to let him suffer.
Yeah, and like Kathy, they have feelings of guilt about maybe they were too hasty. So, there you have it, that when we make the decision to euthanize, we are often troubled by these feelings of maybe we did it too soon, maybe we did it too late. It's kind of like you can't win for many, many people. And eventually you settle on the fact that you did the best you could and you probably made a very loving decision.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it can take some time. And as both of these stories demonstrate, you have to just sort of allow that for yourself and your family.
The other thing I really love about both of these stories, and most of the stories we get, is in the beginning they talk about these wonderful things, right? The memories about their lives with these beautiful companions and the things that gave them joy and the things that they, loved. And all of these pieces of a puzzle that come together, right? About their connection, their human-animal bond. And those are the things that they will remember. And it's so wonderful to have those gifts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the love that you have with them is yours. Mm-hmm. It will always be with you. Mm-hmm. And that's the legacy, really, that they leave you legacy. With.
That's right.
So we want to thank Kevin
and
Kathy for sharing with us. And once again, if the program has been helpful, please consider leaving a comment and or a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, it would be great if you could subscribe, because that helps other people be alerted to the program as a source of support when we're grieving. Mm-hmm. And Nancy, it was great to see you as always. And
yes, Ken.
We'll see you again. We'll talk again next week.
We will talk again next week. Take care, everyone.
Yep.
Please.
Bye-bye.